Hello and welcome to just another ABDL interlude. So today I wanted to do a bit of show and tell about cloth diapers. So if you're listening to this on the audio feed, there's a video on the YouTube channel that you can check out to get the visuals, because that's what this is all about today. So first I want to start off by saying I'm no expert on cloth diapers. Disposables are my preference. I've never really encountered cloth when I was growing up. It's just something that I've came into recently just as an interest. So I'm just going to give you my experiences so far, but as I say, there are people who are much more knowledgeable on this than I am. So the first thing you need to know when you're going with cloth diapers is there's two things you need. You're going to need something that's absorbent, and you're going to need something that's waterproof. Now, there's various ways to accomplish this. So what we're going to do is we're going to get all these out of the picture. And what I'm going to start with is the one that I am least familiar with, and this is PreFold. And the reason I'm least familiar with PreFold is because pins frighten me, quite frankly. But PreFold diaper is essentially just a large piece of material, something nice and absorbent, and it's up to you to fold it up and attach it. So this is an example. This is not an adult size one. This is a baby size one that I just picked up from a shop, which is handy for other things. But as you can see, it's essentially just a towel, a small towel. So if you wanted to use one, what you'd do is you'd fold it up, however your favorite folding method is, and you put it on, and then you bring the tabs around the side. As I say, I'm not very good at this, but essentially something like that. And then you'd get yourself some diaper pins, which you can pretty much find at any grocery store or chemist or anything like that. And you just sort of pin it on. Like so. And then it's hopefully stay in place. Now, as I say, I've never learned how to pin them properly, so I don't trust that this isn't going to just pop open and start stabbing away. So I'm not a fan of these. But the thing that does intrigue me about these, so first of all, if you're afraid of pins like I am, you can actually get these sort of plastic clips. It sort of looks like a T. So one part of the clip hooks on to this side, one part hooks on that side, one part hooks on here, and it just holds it all in place. So that's the sort of thing that I would look into if I was really going to get into PreFolds. I suppose the nice thing about PreFolds that I can think of compared to the pocket diapers, which we're going to go into next, is that you get a lot of coverage on the side, right? And this is one of the advantages of cloth diapers, as far as I'm concerned, is the side protection. Because when you can really pad up the sides of it, and if you like wetting on the side, then you're covered, whereas disposables are not quite as good at side wetting. So, as I say, I'm not going to spend too much time on that because I'm really no expert on those things. Now, the thing that I sort of originally got into were just plain old cloth with some kind of way of holding itself on. So, I believe these were the first two that we ever picked up. And so what these are, this one is a Velcro one, so you put it on and Velcro it up. This one is just a pull-up one. There's no way to open it up. But both of these are similar in that they are an actual diaper. They have padding in there. Sorry, here we go. So there's actual padding in there. They're not incredibly thick or anything like that. So that takes care of the absorbency for you. You don't need to add anything else to it. Compared to something like a pocket diaper where you do need to actually add absorbency to it. And that's nice. And I have another one here somewhere. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, so this one is a bit more modern. This is a Rears one. And it's the same idea. It's turning a bit gray these days, but it's again, it's an actual diaper. It's got lots of absorbency sewn into it. And again, it's a Velcro up one, which is nice. So these are quite nice if you like wearing plastic pants, which personally I do. The one problem that I will say with these, and it's not necessarily a problem, but they take a long time to dry. thing is, there's a lot of layers in here. I'm sorry this is so wrinkly, but it's quite thick. So even if you spin it out and hang it up or put it in the dryer, it takes a long time to dry. So that's one thing to keep in mind. You really want it to dry it properly. You don't want the inside of it to be wet, because then it just probably start getting moldy and things like that. Yeah, but again, they are kind of nice in that they're an all-in-one thing. You know, there's nothing to shift around in there or anything like that. And really, if you want to, you can add more to it. And that's the reason why I have these size of terry inserts, because of course you can just take one and fold it up and add it in there and make it as thick as you want. Compared to a pocket diaper, of course, this isn't sort of sealed in, it's just lying in there. So it has the potential to move around a bit, but it's not worth worrying about, really. So that is that. Now, the one thing I will say about this pull-up one, and pull-up ones in general, I think we have another one here somewhere. This is a all-in-one pull-up. The problem with the pull-ups, from my point of view, is that they're tough to get off. You know, when one of these things is wet, you're trying to pull it down around your legs. It takes more effort. Think of like taking off a wet swimsuit or something like that, you know. So they're not the most convenient in that respect. But the nice thing about them is that they are smooth on the outside, you know. So if you don't like having any sort of lines or creases or under your plastic pants or under your clothes, that's actually quite good. This would be a bit more subtle, I think, under clothes. Whereas when you get into these things, you know, you've got this sort of thicker part at the front here, and you're going to get a line showing through your clothes where that joins up. So that's something to keep in mind. Okay, so with both of those, obviously all you've seen is the absorbency, right? And I said you need two things. You need absorbency, but you also need something waterproof. So that's where plastic pants come in. And we've got a few different ones here to show you. Now, with the plastic pants, we tend to go with pull-up ones, just because it's not as inconvenient as having the actual diaper being pull-up, and there's no sort of seams around the edge for anything to leak out of. And there's lots of different kinds of them out there. Just a sec here. Grab another one. So yeah, lots of different kinds out there. Now, again, there's a few different differentiations with them. Okay, so like these two materials here, and I can't say which material these are. It's been a while, but these ones over here are more of a matte material. I feel almost like what you'd get in a mattress protector sort of thing, you know, sort of matte, a little bit, not so much sticky, but just a little bit of roughness to it. And, you know, they crinkle a bit. But then again, so we've got that. And we've got these ones. These ones are sort of my favorite, a very shiny material. And again, I'm sorry, I can't remember the name of this. You can usually tell just from the pictures when you're buying them. But very smooth and slick material. And it's not too crinkly, but they're soft, very soft and nice and smooth. And so there's that. That's another one of those. And then there's this one here, which is sort of a cloth covered one. So it has a cloth look to it, but the inside is plastic, and quite a crinkly plastic at that. So I mean, there's a few different things you can get as far as style. But the thing you may want to look out for is the way they're sewn around the edges. So obviously you've got the elastics. That's going to be up against your skin. Now something like this, I personally think this is a nice looking plastic pant, but the thing is, the way it's sewn here, is the plastic is going over the edge, and it sort of sticks out. So it's not necessarily the most comfortable thing in the world, and it's very small, very narrow bit of elastic there. Whereas something like this, which is sewn in the same way, it's just the material folded over. This has a much wider piece of elastic, as you can see. Hopefully you can see. So this one will sort of spread out the pressure a bit more and potentially be a bit more comfortable. But that said, you're still getting this sort of rougher material up against your skin. So then you go for something, let's look at this one here. This one, where it's using a different material for the elastic, right? So instead of the plastic being in contact with your skin where all the pressure is going to be, it's a very nice soft material. So that can be a bit more comfortable. And I have one somewhere around with a really thick, it's got a big old thick piece of elastic on there. So that's something to keep in mind when you're buying plastic pants. But the other thing to keep in mind is you can't really just buy the size that you want. You know, if you wear a small and you go get a small pair of plastic pants, that may not be the right thing for you, okay? One thing you have to consider is it going to fit over what you're going to put underneath it? But the thing that I find important to look for is the leg opening. Because wearing these overnight, this leg opening will become very, very uncomfortable if you've bought them too small. So ideally, in my opinion, what you want to do is find the biggest size you can, or rather the smallest size that you can, where when this is in the spot where it's going to be on your leg, the elastic is just barely stretched, if stretched at all. Right? You just want it to be there. You want it to just sit nicely. Because that seal against your skin is not really what's going to stop it leaking. You don't need it super, super tight. And if it is super tight, again, it's going to get really uncomfortable really quickly. So if you're able to try them on before you buy them, that's a really good thing. But just keep that in mind. Like, really focus on the leg opening. So what that might mean is that you end up with a larger pair of plastic pants, but again, they'll feel more comfortable over the long term. If you're only planning on wearing them for an hour at a time, then yeah, you can go for something smaller and tighter if you want. But of course, that's all up to you. So the next one, sort of the final one here, is the all-in-ones. Now, again, I have a few different ones of those. That's again, a rather old one. And this is a true all-in-one. So all the absorbency is already in there. It's got a waterproof layer on there. That's all you need. And of course, you can put more things in there. And then we have, let's see here. I've got these ones which are sort of training pants. And again, they have the waterproof built in and they have a little bit of absorbency built in. But those are just meant for a small wetting. So the really good ones are these here. Now, I'm just going to get these out of the way for now because this is really what we're here for. So this is a pocket diaper. Let me get something that's a little less dark, I think. There we go. So, yes, pocket diapers. So these, as you can see, are incredibly thin. That's because they don't have any absorbency in them. This is essentially just the waterproof layer. But unlike the other, like plastic pants or things like that, these ones actually have a little pocket for you to put the absorbency in. So once it's actually filled up, it feels more like the ones that have the absorbency sewn in. But the nice thing is, it's much easier to wash and it's easy to customize and you don't have to worry about things moving around. So typically with a pocket diaper like this, you would also get some pads to go in there, all right? Some little booster pads, stuffers, whatever you want to call them. So these ones are like a nice microfiber, very smooth kind of feeling material, but they're very absorbent. And again, you get a whole bunch of them and then you just sort of put as many as you want in there, make it as thick or as thin as you want. So all you do is take them, and this can be the tricky part depending on how many you're putting in. So you stuff them in there and sort of lay them out nicely. And there you go. They're in there. They're not going anywhere. And then when it comes time to wash them, all you do is pull them out. And you can wash them all separately. And you remember how I said the other ones, with the sewn-in absorbency, those take a long time to dry. Well, these don't. You can spin them all out and you can hang them up or you can put them in the dryer. And because each one is reasonably thin, they actually dry pretty quickly. So that's kind of a nice way to go. Now, these ones in particular are from a company called Little Aussie Monster. And they're an Australian company. And the nice thing about their ones is their main thing is they do baby nappies. And all they've done with the adult size ones is they've just scaled it up. They use the same materials, same everything. So if you're looking for cute prints and things like that, that's a good option. And in particular with Little Aussie Monster, they have two different covers that I've seen. So this cover here, I don't know if you'll be able to see, but it has just a slight shine to it, right? The material is kind of like a nylon material, like a tracksuit kind of material. But it's waterproof, but it's also a little bit breathable. So it doesn't really make any noise. It's not incredibly crinkly. It's got a bit of noise when it rubs together, again, like you get with tracksuit pants or something like that. But yeah, in general, it's quite a nice material. It's quite soft, a little bit of a shine. The other one they do, if you look on their site and you see any of the ones that say Minky in the name, they're referring to this cover. And this, again, is a waterproof cover, but it's sort of topped with a fuzzy material, almost like a flannel-y kind of thing, flannelette. But yeah, it's sort of soft and very matte. So if you like a fuzzy cover to your diaper, that's the Minky ones that they sell. But again, this is the same thing, same on the inside. It's got the pocket. So with these pocket diapers, you may have noticed that there are about 1 million snaps on the front. I'll go back to the blue one here because that's a bit easier to see. So, again, 1 million snaps on the front. And the idea is you just sort of pick your fit. Now, what I will say about the Little Aussie Monster diapers is that they are reasonably small. I'd say if you can't fit very comfortably into a medium-sized disposable, then these are probably going to be too small for you. Now, they do have a lot of stretch to them, because they have the elastic at the back. They stretch a lot. But the thing is that the height becomes a problem at some point. But yeah, again, in general with these, what you do is you put it on, and then you just sort of find the snaps that work for you. You snap them on wherever you want them to be. And if you're very small, you can snap it back onto there. If you're larger, you can snap it on over there. And the snaps are quite good. They hold quite well. The only, I guess, I don't know if it's a problem, but the only thing to consider with these is that they're hard, you know? So you're going to have these sticking out at the front, and like especially this one with the point on it, it's a bit hard. So I'd be hesitant to put plastic pants over them. Not that you need to. You wouldn't need to put plastic pants over top of these. But if you did, you'd want to think about that, you know? That you have all these hard bits on the front. Similar to what I was talking about with the Velcro ones. You have the line there as well. You'll have that line here. So that is something to consider. If you're putting it under some tight clothes and you want it to be not obvious, well, you have all that to think about. And again, going back to the side protection, these don't have a lot of side protection to them. When you put the stuffer in, it only goes in the middle, you know? So you're not getting any extra protection at the side. And realistically, these are quite thin, you know? It's not like with a disposable here. The side that you get on a disposable is quite a bit thicker than these. But of course, with everything, there's different sizes and brands and all that. So let me find, where'd my other one go? Oh, here we go. So now this one. I just bought it off of eBay, but I believe a lot of other companies get these and brand them as their own. Like I've seen some Rears ones which look suspiciously similar to this one. So I kind of suspect that they're all just from the same place. But again, this is the same idea. But the nice thing about this is the sides are quite a bit wider. You get more snaps on them, so you're getting 3 snaps instead of 2 per column. But the nice thing about this one compared to the Little Aussie Monster, well, a couple of nice things, is that instead of just having the pocket on one side, it's got a pocket on both sides. And that is quite nice, because sometimes when you're putting a whole bunch of them in there, it's tough to get them up to the end. So it's nice with this, you can sort of pull them out and you can arrange them nicely. But the other thing about this one, compared to the little Aussie Monster one, so I'll bring that one back. So this one, I mean, it's got elastic at the edge, but that's it, you know? So it's quite simple. Whereas this one has got all sorts of barriers. So it's got this one stand-up barrier here, and then it's got the edge as well. So you can see there's essentially 1, 2, 3 layers, 3 edges that are going to be touching your skin. And that works really well. Because one of the things is, if you start really stuffing this thing up, the inside is going to grow. It's going to get thicker, right? And so you have to worry about the inside part sort of coming over the edge. But with this, you don't have to, because the edges are so huge, you're never going to run out of room in there. So again, I'm quite pleased with these ones. I think these are a really good option. It's the same material as the little Aussie Monster ones, the PUL material. So again, it's got a little tiny bit of a shine to it, but sort of that tracksuit material. But again, it's quite soft, it's quite comfortable. And that is one of the nice things, again, that I find about the cloth compared to the disposable, is they are quite comfortable to wear. And especially if you're having problems with the plastic pants where, you know, like I said before, the around the legs, it can get a bit uncomfortable. These don't get uncomfortable around the legs. The material is just so soft, and it's not stretched too tight. You know, you can adjust how tight it is. And so they're incredibly comfortable to wear. So well worth looking into. And as I say, there's lots of different companies sell their own kind, and some of them are just going to be rebranded ones of this, and some of them are going to be their own different design, like the little Aussie Monster ones, as I say, are just a scaled up version of the ones that the baby-sized ones. So that's that. So again, going back to the inserts, just want to go over that real quick. So again, this is one of the inserts from Little Aussie Monster. Again, it's a microfiber material. It might be bamboo or hemp, I'm not too sure. But one thing I've heard about these, I've never tried it myself, is so they're very absorbent. They work really well. And I recommend, if you're getting into pocket diapers, get yourself some of these. You will not regret it. One thing they did say is that they're so absorbent, you probably don't want it directly against your skin. So you probably do want to use that underneath something else. So what I was doing, and again, that's not a problem for the pocket diapers, because the pocket diapers, you have a layer of material in there that's holding it in place. So that's not a problem. But with one like this, again, this is the complete diaper. It's got the absorbency built into it, and there's no pocket. So if you did want to add anything to it, you'd have to add it right in. And at that point, this stuff's right up against your skin. So that's something to consider. And that's sort of why I picked up these ones. So again, these Terry ones, they're just from the baby section of Big W. You just get a whole pack of them. And these can be folded up and put in however you like. I usually do I find that folding it into 3 sort of gets you the right width that you need. But again, this is just a towel. It's that kind of thing. It's very soft, very comfortable against the skin. And it's well worth having a bunch of these on hand. So the first thing it's good for is for this diaper here, right? It just fits on top. It's nice and comfy up against your skin. It absorbs quite a bit, and they're quite thick. If you're going for thickness, I mean, the Terry is probably the way to go. It's quite bulky. But the other sort of nice thing about having a few of these around, if you're adventurous and you plan on messing your diaper, of course, with the cloth, that's a bit of a hassle, I gotta say, because before you go putting it in your wash, you want to get all the solids off of it, and that can be a bit of a pain. So rather than trying to scrape stuff off of this monster here, if you just put one of these in place first, then this is the thing that you have to really clean up before you put it in the wash. So that's something to think about as well. I say these come in quite handy. You can use them in the pocket diapers as well. I often, if you want the pocket diaper to be extra thick, you can put a few of these in there. So well worth getting a few. And again, they're just little towels. You need to wipe up something, you got some spare towels. So I think that's it for now. As I say, I'm no expert on these. It's just sort of my experience over the years of getting different cloth diapers, trying them out, and just seeing how they work. I suppose the last thing to mention, which I believe I mentioned in the last podcast, the cloth diapers are only absorbent as you make them, right? So if you just take a pocket diaper and put one little square of terry in there, that's as much as it's going to absorb, and that's not going to be a lot. If you want a cloth diaper to last a long time, you want to wear it overnight, and you don't want it to leak, you got to go thick. You got to go lots of layers, add lots of absorbency to it. And that's how it is. So if you're going out, cloth is not necessarily the best thing. It's going to be, depending on where you're going, how long you're going to be out, how long you're going to be wetting. You sort of have to think about that, right? Because unlike the disposables, with the material that you get in the disposables, it sort of holds on to the moisture. If you squeeze it, nothing really comes out of it. But with these, because they're just towels, if you squeeze them, the moisture comes out of them, like you're squeezing a towel or a washcloth. So if you sit down, all of a sudden all that moisture is going to come out. And if it doesn't have anywhere else to go, if it doesn't have any more absorbency to go into, it's going to go out the edges and everything like that. So that is something to keep in mind. But yeah, I think they're well worth a try. I think if you're out there and you're thinking, I'd like to try a cloth diaper, in my opinion, a good starter is get yourself one of these covers. I think this one cost me $10, and it's fantastic. Reusable. No complaints about it at all. This is the thing that I would go with. You get that, and then if you can, get yourself some nice inserts like this. But if you want to save a bit of money just to try it out, go grab a bag of these from Big W or wherever. They do the job. And that'll sort of get you started. Yeah, so I think that's it for now. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.